Here it goes. Yeah. Let him hear you, folks. Let him hear you. Come join us as we take you on a trip from the practice pen to the show arena and let you listen in as top trainers prepare their students to compete in the Western industry's most exciting equine sport. And you'll learn what it takes to become a top weekend cutter.
Just relax, Robert.
Very good, Chase. Keep pushing on that horn, bud.
Outside leg just a little. There you go. Stay up. Back up. Stay up. There you go. Good. Don't lean. There you go.
People from all walks of life can find a place in our sport.
I'm Dr. Glenn Blodgett from the 4 Sixes Ranch here in Guthrie, Texas, and I highly recommend Alfalfa Cubes from Manzanola, Colorado. The thing I can tell you about this Top of the Rockies cube is it's the most consistent form of alfalfa I've ever been able to purchase. We feed this in the pasture on the ground some, we feed it in the lots. It really does meet all the nutritional needs. I couldn't recommend any hay source any higher than I can this Top of the Rockies cube.
Jeff Smith Chrysler, Dodge & Jeep. Home of one of the largest inventories of Ram heavy-duty to light-duty trucks in the Southeast United States. With sales and service know-how that is sure to put a smile on your face. When you're ready for your next Ram, go see the folks at Jeff Smith Chrysler, Dodge & Jeep in Perry, Georgia.
This is Dr. Harry Anderson. I've devoted the last 40 years of my life to planning and developing the products we have available to you in Total Feeds. Total Feeds has safe, simple, and proven nutritional programs for you and your animals. Make Total Feeds a part of your healthy lifestyle.
Hey folks, welcome to Cuttin Up. I'm Kenny Emi, your host. This week's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to bring you all the highlights from an event produced by the Weekend Cutting Horse Association there at Perry, Georgia at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. First, we're going to show you all Saturday's highlights. Then we're going to come back and show you all the Sundays. So get your iced tea and your popcorn ready. Be sure and sit down and get comfortable. This whole episode is brought to you by Manzanola Feeds. Be sure and go to manzanolafeeds.com to get your hands on some of the finest Colorado alfalfa that you will ever pour in your horse's feeder. Now let's head to Georgia. Well, here's Mr. Ted Sokol, often referred to as the godfather of cutting in Florida. He's got this little black cow dialed in on. He's fixing to hold it right in the middle of the pen for you. Ted proudly wearing that John Animal Health shirt, BioWash and BioGel. He's their endorsed rider down in Florida in the Southeast. He's going to finish up right here in the middle of the pen with 15 left on cat's ball. In the open, this class was proudly sponsored by Jeff Smith Automotive there in Perry, Georgia. And Ted's going to finish up right there, marking a 73 to win the open. Well, this is Miss Cindy Hodges. That's her husband talking to her in the corner, Mr. Ronnie Hodges. This is the non-pro class brought to you by Manzanola Feeds, makers of Top of the Rockies alfalfa cubes. Miss Cindy's got this little fast black cow cut right in the middle of the pen. Little horse is working good for her. It's really getting good in the middle. Strong horse. Very animated. Looking pretty on a cow. And she's got her a good quit. And there she is, hand down, and she's cutting. That's Gary Moore keeping that black cow in play for her. And she's going to finish up strong. And there's your 76 from Miss Cindy Hodges. And speaking of Ronnie Hodges, here's his granddaughter, Miss Hannah Knowles. She grew up there in Georgia. Now she lives with her husband up in Tennessee. And she is having a bunch of fun. Brought to you by Farm and Ranch TV, the future of rural television. And is a serious competitor. She was as a youth. Took quite a bit of a long break. She decided to come out of the woodwork when the Weekend Cutting Horse Association started having shows there in the Southeast. Ronnie's daughter, Katie, who was always involved in cutting there in the Georgia area, is Hannah's mama. They live just east of Atlanta. She's going to finish up right here in the middle. Atta girl. Miss Hannah Knowles, that's her 75, wins that class. And here's Granddad, Ronnie Hodges, on Blessed Me. This is your 15 novice horse class brought to you by Total Feeds. Ronnie has been a staple of cutting in the Southeast for a lot of years. I think if you do the statistics, at one time Ronnie had probably judged more aged events in Fort Worth than anybody. I believe he judged both the Triple Crown champions in the early 80s. Ronnie's talking to his help about some cows, and he's got this little brownie black kind of picked out right in the middle. Charles Coleman's helping him turn back, so is Rob Morris. Ted Sokol's over there in the corner. Good job, Ronnie. Marks him a 73, wins that class. Here's Miss Savannah Shipes on Catabella. This is your youth class. Brought to you by Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. This is a horse, I believe, Gary Moore rides in the Open for Dr. David Burba, I believe, is the owner of this horse. Really nice horse. Gary's had a lot of success with him. There you go. That was taking it right to the end of the clock. And that marked her a 74 to win the youth class that day. Here's Miss Hannah Knowles on Glows, Ronnie Hodges' granddaughter. This is your 35,000 novice horse non-pro. This class brought to you by American Hat Company. Ten seconds left on the clock. Gets over there and stops that cow. And she comes off the fence good, so she can get her place to quit. Nobody likes to quit a cow on the fence. 74 will win her that class. Good job. Here's Buddy Oaks on Chiquita Ray. This is your 2000 amateur class brought to you by Farm and Ranch TV, the future of rural television. Streaming on the Roku network. Watch what you want, when you want, on your schedule. But get out there and get something cut. Got 5 seconds on the clock. Hopefully this little black won't do him on the dirty. He's awful close to the herd, but he finishes it out. Good job. And that's tough, and a 74 will win you that class. Well, here's Candace Harrison. She came up from Florida to cut up with us there at the Weekend Cutting Horse Association show in Perry. She rides with Ted Sokol there in Seville, Florida. She's got her a black one cut. Let's see how it goes for her. This class brought to you by Quality Inn, Perry, Georgia. Be sure and check with them when you're coming to one of the events at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. They'll take care of you at the Quality Inn at Perry, Georgia.
Hi, welcome to Talking a Bit. I'm Tom Diaz, Woodland, California. I'm here to talk about one of my favorite show bits that we use when we're on the road. This is a Jerry Cates. It's got a low port in it. It's got long shanks. It's got decent weight to it. Fits a lot of the horses really well. They're comfortable in it, yet it has enough bite to where they pay attention to it. It's got inlay silver. It's a real pretty bit, about 25 years old. I like this bit a lot. And that's Talking a Bit.
The Talking a Bit segment is designed to let you know what trainers consider to be their favorite bit and what their uses are. Be sure and talk with your trainer to see what bit works best for you and your horse. Well, welcome to You Be the Judge. I'm here with my good friend David Brumley. David, thank you for coming to the Cutting Horse studio.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, this whole segment is designed to let people know what some of our penalties are in the show pen and how to prevent them, ideally with knowledge. And not knowledge from me, knowledge from a judge. And so we've got one here. This is a penalty that you don't see very often called turn tail. And I got to say a big thank you to Russell McCord at NCHA. He sent me this, and we really appreciate them. It's an old back fence video clip, but this is a video that NCHA sent us, and it's I want you to take a look at it, see what you think. Right after these messages, we'll talk about it a little bit. How would you like to live closer to the Will Rogers Coliseum than anyone in Weatherford, Texas? Thanks to the new Chisholm Trail Parkway, Cleburne to Fort Worth is just 25 minutes. This resort-style saltwater pool area was designed with thoughts and memories of floating the Frio River in Concan, Texas, with the relaxing atmosphere of the finest resorts in Cancun, Mexico. Definitely built for entertaining. The horsemen will appreciate all pipe fencing and turnouts with water and shelter to support a broodmare and foal operation. Lots of outbuildings, working pens, alleys, and traps for working cattle and keeping horses tuned. And a great big round pen with terrific footing for getting them ready to go show. Beautiful 20-acre fertilized Bermuda grass hay meadow that yielded 94 rolls at the first cutting. The main home with metal roof is all Austin stone and cedar trim. 4 bedrooms, lots of custom tile, wood floors throughout, crown molding, heat pump system, the list goes on. The large dining area sits next to a huge kitchen with more cabinets than you can shake a stick at. With a huge office, big yard, beautiful views, and lots of shade trees. For your little piece of Texas, contact Stephanie Cordaway and Keller Williams. Well, David, what do you think?
Well, this right here is what they really did call an honest turntail from the cow. And what it is the horse just turned around and doesn't even look at the cow that he's cutting. The way that the rider could have prevented that is hold his horse up to that cow a little longer, because the other herd cattle are going back to the herd. And he's just following the other cattle back in. He did not get his horse on that cow like he's supposed to.
Now, how often have you seen the turntail penalty actually happen?
I haven't seen this in a good while, but it does happen occasionally.
It does. We were talking about this. In 6 years of filming cuttings across the country, I think I've actually only seen it twice, and I actually had it on film once, but it's from years ago and I couldn't remember who it was. So like I said, Russell was great at NCHA. He knew right where to go find that footage and had it on a DVD waiting for me at the front desk. I went there and picked it up. So big thank you to the NCHA and Russell McCord for giving us this footage. So turntail, it's definitely a penalty. What's the deduction in points for a turntail?
It's a score of 60.
Automatic
60.
Just like if you'd have went to school in your horse.
Exactly.
Well, there you go. It's a very expensive penalty, especially at a venue like that.
Yes, it is.
There was a big entry fee that just kind of got flushed right there. But I want to say a big thank you again to NCHA. David, thank you for coming in here and helping us talk about these penalties. Now let's get back to the action. Well, here's Mr. Gary Moore on Catabella. Good horse, owned by Dr. David Burba down there in Florida. This class was proudly sponsored by Jeff Smith Automotive there in Perry, Georgia. Big Cuttin family, and hold it nicely. And that's how you do it. Gary Moore and a 74. Well, here's Jordan Vaughn on Sarah's Painted Badge. This is your non-pro class brought to you by Top of the Rockies Alfalfa Cubes. Made by Manzanola Feeds. Pickney gets his hand down. 5 seconds left. That's all it takes. Good little horse. Not afraid to get over there and stop that cow. And that's how you win the non-pro class. Well, here's Miss Hannah Knowles, granddaughter to Mr. Ronnie Hodges. This class was brought to you by Total Feeds. Hannah, I believe, hadn't showed a cutting horse in almost 5 years. Her and her husband to have a beautiful little girl and be mommy, and now that little girl's big enough to come with her because she's got grandmas and great-grandmas and grandpas all at this cutting to help take care of her. And that's how you win that class in Marcus 75. Well, here's Ted Sokol on his daughter Jamie's horse, Shorty's Missing Gun. Cute little bay horse. Jamie's done really well on. This is the 15,000 novice horse class. Brought to you by Farm and Ranch TV. The future of rural television. Watch what you want, when you want. And that's how you mark a 74 and win that class. Next up is Miss Ashley Barwick on Smokin' Trona Miracle. This is the youth class. Brought to you by Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. Anytime the youth are cutting in this sport, Connie Peters is going to be close by. This young lady, believe it or not, trained this horse. Just in time to mark her a 75 and win the youth class. Now here is Ted Sokol's youngest daughter, Jamie, on her horse, Shorty's Missing Gun. This class brought to you by American Hat Company. Jamie's always going to do good when she's riding behind somebody as talented as her dad. Jamie is cutting up and going to finish up really strong on Shorty's Missing Gun. And that's how you mark a 76 and win the 35. Next is Aaron Parker on PB, Texas. Aaron is from Americus, Georgia. This class brought to you by Quality Inn, Perry, Georgia. Be sure and check with them when you're coming to one of the events at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. They'll take care of you at the Quality Inn in Perry, Georgia. Look at her go. And that's how you win your class with a 73.
This is Dr. Harry Anderson. That's a really good question about the kind of hay to feed, which is best. It's not an easy question to answer because it varies all over the country. The king of all horse hay, to me, would be alfalfa, whether it's in long-stemmed alfalfa or hay cubes or hay pellets. So that's where we start. If you don't have access to alfalfa, there are other forms that you can use. Good quality grass hays, if put up properly, can be very good, but by comparison, alfalfa is far more consistent and predictable than most of your grass hays. Grass hay can vary quite a bit in quality based on the timing of harvest. And I see a lot of problems with typical grass hay, especially some of the coastal type hays, the Bermuda type hays, because of the harvesting timing and the maturity level when it's harvested, and the nutrients will vary all over the board. You want to look for a hay that's at least 12% protein or higher, with a low fiber and a high digestibility. But most of all, if you're feeding hay and you're buying hay, do get it tested so that you know exactly what's in it. Possibly before you buy it, but even after you buy it, get it assayed. Go to my website, totalfeeds.com. You can find a lab address on there to send it to. They'll do a nice assay for you for $18, and then you will know what it is, and you can always contact me and ask me about the quality and what you need to do to help it if it's not sufficient.
The rural American lifestyle. It's how we work, and it's how we play. It's how we learn and how we enjoy the finer things in life. How we take care of our animals and tend to the land. It's a way of life. Has been for hundreds of years. Now there's a whole new way for rural America to watch TV.
Hi, I am Kathy Reiserfoot. My husband Jonathan and I have insured with Roger Peters Livestock for over 30 years. Our most recent issue was I was showing our mare. We were sitting fourth in the world, and she tore a suspensory. Our insurance coverage is the reason we were able to continue on with Lola, and I so appreciate Roger Peters Livestock Insurance.
Well, that's our show for this week, folks. We want to say a big thank you to the sponsor of this whole episode, Manzanola Feeds. Be sure and go to manzanolafeeds.com to get your hands on some of the finest Colorado alfalfa that you will ever put in your horse's feed bucket. Remember, cubes, no waste, no fuss. They eat it all. You're going to save a lot of money feeding a good quality cube, and you're not going to get finer quality than Manzanola Feeds. We also want to say a big thank you to some of our show sponsors. Jeff Smith Automotive, where they were gracious to bring out some vehicles and show some of our cutters, some of those fine new Dodge, Ram, Chrysler, and Jeep products. For sales and service that cannot be beat in that part of the country, go see Jeff Smith Automotive. American Hat Company, the finest lid that you can put on your head. Cowboys from coast to coast strive to get their hands and wear a fine product made by American Hat Company there in Bowie, Texas. We were thankful to have them come all the way with us to Florida and be one of the event sponsors of that show. Quality Inn there in Perry, Georgia, they have a great facility and are happy to take care of anybody staying in Perry, Georgia, to go to one of the events there at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. So be sure and stay at Quality Inn when you're in Perry, Georgia. Everybody be sure and join us right here again next week. We'll be right here cutting up.
Home on the range, this is not the same. If you can't cut it, then get out the ring. Stay behind the gate if you can't stand the flame. Let someone in there